2023 Monaco Grand Prix is just around the corner. Max Verstappen hopes to win the race for the second time ever, and Sergio Perez will hope to do the same. But will Red Bull Racing be dominant this weekend? And they have been so far this year. Aston Martin, Ferrari and Mercedes are united. If there's a chance, it will be in Monaco. Since the beginning of F1, Monaco has always been one of the most prominent destinations in the motorsport class. The first race in the F1 World Championship took place in 1950 with Anthony Nose emerging victorious. Then the Grand Prix was not held for 4 years, but after that Monaco became a fixture on the calendar. Ayrton Senna still holds the record for the most wins in Monaco. The Brazilian managed to cross the line as a winner 6 times, spanning the late 1980s and early 90s. Schumacher followed next with 5 wins. After Lewis Hamilton's victory in 2019, the race did not take place in 2020 due to the pandemic, but F1 returned in 2021 with Max Verstappen winning to take the lead in the championship for the first time in his career. Then Sergio Perez triumphed last year. Monaco's circuit contains many tight corners, challenging overtaking manoeuvres and narrow straights. The track is about 3.34 kilometres and is 78 laps long, resulting in a total race distance of around 260 kilometres. One of the more unique corners on the track is Rascasse, located to the Rascasse restaurant. Because of the challenge of overtaking, qualifying often plays a decisive role on the weekend. On Sunday it is difficult to overtake, so there are a few changes from the starting grid. Nevertheless, partly because of its rich tradition, the Grand Prix remains an indispensable and, let's face it, probably an iconic part of the F1 calendar that I think is probably going to be here to stay for a long time yet. But Red Bull Racing stands on 5 wins from as many races this year, especially in the races the car has been untouchable. But in Monaco, everything could be different. As mentioned, qualifying is incredibly important. That's where Red Bull wants to improve. The competition sees the chance for an outlier in Monaco. Aston Martin is particularly good in the slow corners, and so Monaco may be their biggest chance of a win. Alonso has this weekend circled red in his diary and will have prepared optimally. At the same time, Ferrari and Mercedes will be hoping to surprise on Sunday so they can cash in on a possible pole position in the race. Many teams have had upgrades planned for Imola, but because the Grand Prix was cancelled and new parts have not yet been introduced, the test season in Monaco will be risky, not only because there is nowhere more likely to put it in the wall, but also because it's not a typical circuit. If the upgrades don't turn out well at Monaco, it doesn't necessarily mean the parts have failed. Many race teams therefore choose to postpone the updates until Spain next week. The circuit teams are familiar with. Ferrari chooses to do it in Spain, Mercedes does it in Monaco. And yeah, it can rain in Monaco. As we saw last year, the race was delayed due to heavy rain on Sunday. For this weekend, Friday remains dry, but Saturday and Sunday there's a 70% and 50% chance of rain respectively, so it could be interesting. And yeah, for the weekend, usual European times, 3 till 4 is qualifying, 2 is the race in UK time. But yeah, moving into the weekend, there was obviously a lot of topics on the agenda, such as Mercedes upgrades. Will they work and will they not work? But yeah, the big driver kind of story coming into the weekend was Lewis Hamilton to Ferrari. Could Lewis Hamilton move to Ferrari? There was lots of rumours throughout the week, but it seems to have been pretty promptly denied. And it sounds like Lewis Hamilton's on the verge of signing a new contract with Mercedes. As much as I'd love to see Lewis Hamilton in a Ferrari, this definitely makes sense and probably seems the most logical option. But moving on into practice then. And yeah, practice 1. There was a few instances throughout the session. Max Verstappen was complaining or wasn't too happy with his car. Alex Albon stuck it in the fence, unfortunately for him. And yeah. It's kind of as usual, the testing new upgrades for Mercedes. Lewis Hamilton was near the top for quite a lot of the session, but didn't quite top it. But yeah, it was all about testing upgrades in this session. And yeah, as is usual with practice 1, you couldn't go, you get a definitive read. In practice 2, Carlos Sainz topping FP1, you could get a more definitive read, and it's Max Verstappen who was fastest in the qualifying runs, maybe dampening the hopes of Red Bull's rivals that maybe they could compete for a win this weekend, especially in race runs. He looks really good, but as we know, race runs isn't necessarily a be all and end all in Monaco. So yeah, Max Verstappen still fastest, but the competition, especially Ferrari and Alonso, seem very close behind. And yeah, before I go, my predictions for this weekend on pole, I'm going to say Fernando Alonso. Yeah, I've got to say a non-Red Bull at Monaco, because otherwise I just feel like Red Bull are going to win every single race. And yeah. Winning then, I'm going to say Fernando Alonso as well. If he gets pole, he's going to have to get the win, with Max Verstappen pushing him all the way to second, and yeah, in third, I'm going to say Charles Leclerc, finally getting over his Monaco person, getting a podium at home. Wouldn't we love to see that as a podium? But anyway, guys, that's it for today. Thanks so much for watching. Like, share, subscribe, and what's going on. Fun show for daily F1 news and subscribe to the channel. Greatly appreciated. Thanks so much for watching. Peace out.